The first time it happened, Luoluo was only 14.
And bro, the twist? It was his own biological sister, Xia Yutong, who took it while his eyes were blindfolded. His voice shook uncontrollably as a sharp, agonizing pain flared straight through his entire body.
He was completely terrified, shaking with fear.
She whispered for him to stay still and not take off the blindfold.
Telling him he must listen to his big sister, she saw the boy nod his head. A forced, faint smile appeared on her lips, not even knowing what she was feeling.
But she was absolutely certain of one thing. It was neither regret nor pain. This was her ultimate resolve, exactly what she wanted.
Xia Yutong finally removed the white cloth and leaned down.
She gently whispered in his ear to just sleep and act like nothing happened once he woke up.
Apologizing for being so selfish, she laughed right before their exhausted mother finally returned home.
Liu Riro opened Luoluo's bedroom door to find it empty, searching around the house.
She finally found her young boy fast asleep on his older sister's bed.
Gently shaking Luoluo, a warm, elegant smile spread across her face.
He slowly opened his eyes, looking around the room in utter confusion. Still half asleep, he wondered why he was sleeping in his sister's room.
Liu Yiro gently stroked his head, softly asking if he wanted to move in here.
Luoluo felt completely dazed, asking where his sister had gone. His mother reminded him that today was the day she left for college. She was probably on the train by now, seeing how lost and sad her son looked.
Liu Yiro sighed, knowing her son had always been incredibly clingy with Xia Yutong.
But she never expected him to miss his sister so quickly already.
She asked if he wanted to call her, and Luoluo quickly agreed. His mother pulled out her phone, dialed Xia Yutong's number, and handed it to him.
He nervously spoke into the receiver, asking if she was already on the train. Xia Yutong's voice sounded incredibly cold, unlike anything he had ever heard before. There was none of her usual warmth, making him wish the whole thing was just a nightmare. But the reality was impossible to ignore since he already knew what had actually happened. He understood what she did, quietly asking where she was now. Wondering if she would arrive late, she replied that she would get there tomorrow morning.
He hesitated, the words catching in his throat as he struggled to speak.
Unsure of what to say, he just told her to stay safe before hanging up.
He hung up the phone, burying the heavy secret deep inside.
Luoluo had to force his usual cheerful smile so his mother would not suspect anything.
No matter why his sister did it, the young boy was already mature enough. He knew he had to protect his family's peace at all costs. Keeping this hidden forever seemed like his only real choice.
Outside the train window, the bright city lights flashed by in a blur.
The dazzling, chaotic world outside kept spinning, but inside the carriage, it was dead silent. The quiet space made her unusually calm, though her guilt grew sharper by the second.
She knew better than anyone that the boy was never destined to belong to her.
Honestly, she is completely unhinged, but how do you stop a crazy person watching her favorite thing get stolen?
How could she just stand by and let someone else claim him? She was the one who arrived first, the one who loved him first.
That pathetic little thief doesn't even know what love is.
Why even compete? Xia Yutong looks down at the boy's bright smile.
So innocent, pure as a mountain spring. She couldn't face him while committing her crime.
And she was absolutely terrified of him seeing her crazy side when the phone finally rang. She was fully prepared, expecting no miracles or easy ways out. No regrets, ready to accept any punishment. She never expected things to return to normal, knowing she personally destroyed their entire future together. But surprisingly, the sweet boy hid it from his mother, still calling her sister, telling her to stay safe as darkness crept in.
She turned off her phone and slept against the window.
A few soft whispers from her dreams faded into the air. Luon City's summer nights are buzzing with neon. As the night grows deep, the last bar patrons leave. Clutching the table, our boy coughs heavily as his stomach completely turns upside down.
He wants to throw up everything from today, including that warm beer he forced down. Just an hour ago, he made his decision.
He told her they were over, leaving absolutely no turning back now. She actually dragged him out tonight, hoping he would spend the whole day shopping with her.
She was wearing a cute off-shoulder dress and nice sandals.
Light makeup, looking totally stunning.
But her beauty didn't move his heart anymore, leading straight to a very cold breakup. It literally took them 18 years to hold hands, but only 2 short years to fall completely apart.
Her name is Wen Youli, his next-door neighbor and family friend. Their families were super close for over 20 years, even arranging their marriage since childhood. After 20 years of bickering, he naturally said yes when she confessed her love. And because of that, he always tolerated Wen Youli's toxic tantrums. Throughout 13 long years of school, their romantic relationship was common knowledge to absolutely every single person. Even the teachers ignored it completely, as long as their grades stayed up. The entire world basically assumed they would be together forever. Honestly, he didn't even know if she was just a little sister to him. Or a lover. Only his sister kept it real. She told him to always follow his own heart, no matter what. Never compromise his future for anyone. Sadly, he didn't listen. To be absolutely fair, Wen Youli is indeed insanely gorgeous. She was always the school beauty every guy talked about. Even as her childhood friend, he had to admit, she grew up stunning. But constantly giving into her endless, toxic tantrums since childhood? Always giving without getting anything back totally exhausted him. The exhausting weight on his shoulders just kept building up every day. He kept hoping she would grow up and start caring. But today was the final straw after a brutal shift. He literally clocked out only to receive her text demanding he buy boba. She literally expects him to deliver breakfast at 7 a.m. When he finally gets some rest, she drags him out. Wen Youli has absolutely no clue what she did wrong. Or honestly, she just refuses to admit she did anything. He's just so incredibly exhausted, and that classic, beautiful college dream, it's completely lost its spark. At this point, he just wants to catch a break. He just wants to get completely wasted and forget everything, even with a mountain of problems waiting tomorrow. Like how to explain things to his mom and how to handle this without ruining the peace between both families. Plus, how's he supposed to face Wen Youli after this? Oh, and his unfinished advanced math homework is still waiting. He just hopes he doesn't oversleep and completely ruin his early morning shift tomorrow. He ends up messaging his older sister Xia Yutong, even though he knows it's way too late to disturb her. But he has no choice. His head is spinning, and skipping dinner has left him completely starved. It's totally drained his last bit of strength. By the way, Xia Yutong is actually his college math professor. And yes, she's also his older sister. Talk about a top-tier supportive character. Ever since he was a baby, his sister has always treated him incredibly well. She's gentle to the point of spoiling him, taking care of him like this for 20 years. Because his mom was always too busy working, all the warmth he missed out on growing up was actually given to him by Xia Yutong. Honestly, even now in college, she's the one covering most of his tuition and living expenses. The rest comes from his own little part-time job in the school cafeteria. Ever since his father passed away from a severe illness 15 years ago, their family's finances completely tanked. His mom had to work incredibly hard, pulling crazy hours from morning till night. She was constantly traveling all over the country. Whenever she was away, the Wen family would invite them over for dinner, but Xia Yutong would always push him to go alone. She'd politely decline, and after going once or twice, he stopped going altogether. He never really understood why she refused, but since she didn't want to go, he preferred to stay back and share a simple, modest meal with her. Back in the present, he's getting more and more drunk, shaking his head to clear his mind. The second he looks up, he notices someone sitting right across the table. It's Xia Yutong, and he quietly asks if she actually came. She asks how she could not come to pick up her little kid, seeing him this wasted. She gently teases Luoluo about getting kidnapped before carefully helping him stand up. As she leads him out of the bar, he keeps whispering apologies to her. He says he's a burden, but she tells him to stop talking nonsense because he's family. Xia Yutong opens the cab door and carefully helps him inside. Between the alcohol and sheer exhaustion, he completely passes out. Slumping onto the back seat, his head ends up resting right on Xia Yutong's lap. Half asleep, he can hear his sister gently whispering right into his ear. She tells him to just sleep, since she's right there beside him, telling Luoluo that he doesn't need to worry or fear anything at all. Before totally drifting off, his last glimpse is of Xia Yutong's breathtaking face. Seriously, she is drop-dead gorgeous.
looking absolutely stunning in the dim cab light. Soon, the soft morning light creeps over the window. The white curtains flutter in the breeze as he slowly wakes up. He rubs his head, which is throbbing with a massive hangover. Looking around, the room feels incredibly familiar to him. Turning his head, he spots a slender, long-haired silhouette sitting by the window desk. Without even turning around, she gently asks if he's finally awake.
She tells him there's tea on the table, so he should wash up before eating breakfast.
Alright, so our main character has been to Yutong's dorm twice, making it pretty familiar. Like this one night, he walked Youli back to her dorm, only to find his own building locked. With nowhere to go, he messaged his sister even though it was super late. She actually came down in her pajamas to get him, without a single complaint. A gentle warning to watch the time next time is all she gives him. Honestly, Xia Yutong is always like this. She never blames him, no matter what happens. She checks in occasionally, but never oversteps or tries to control his life. Yet, she always shows up to help him right when he needs it most. Honestly, she's the ultimate sister, and he definitely owes her a massive thank you. Splashing cold water on his face finally wakes him up, looking at his handsome but exhausted reflection. Everything hits him. They actually broke up. He finally found the courage to say those words to Youli. Now he has no idea how to face his mom and her parents. The fallout might be bad, but he does not regret it. Walking back into the room, he sees Yutong brought in another chair. She closes her notebook, turns around, and gestures for him to sit down. She hands him some steamed buns and asks what is wrong. Pointing to the warm plastic bag, she asks him to tell his big sister everything.
She asks what happened with Youli, but he says it is nothing.
Sitting down obediently, he starts munching on the buns while explaining the situation to Yutong.
He knows he can't hide anything from her, and there's no need to. His sister and mother are the two people he trusts most in the world. Plus, she is super smart and rational, always guiding him to make the right call. She agreed to it, but she was absolutely furious. She claimed she was the one dumping him, and their families still have no idea. He begs her not to tell his mom, while she just crosses her legs. Resting her head on her hand, she looks at him and asks what he wants. He does not regret the breakup because being with Youli was just way too exhausting.
When he asks if he made a mistake, she gently tells him it is his right.
She reminds him that nobody has the right to force him into a relationship. If it gets too tiring, you break up. There's no right or wrong here.
You guys, she is so wholesome. She just pats his head with a warm smile.
Still, he is worried about how their parents will react. They all wanted them together, and he has no clue how to break the news.
She promises to help him and believes their parents will eventually understand.
No matter what happens, she is going to stand by him and support him. After all, Yutong really does not want him spending his life with someone he doesn't love. Forcing himself to please others just is not worth it, and he nods in deep gratitude. Honestly, her words always have this way of completely lifting the weight off his shoulders. Helping him escape his dark thoughts is probably her psychology background at work. She was always a straight-A student, crushing it from elementary school all the way through college. She even stayed at Luoluo University as both an advanced math teacher and a counselor. Suddenly, he realizes he might be late for his part-time job. Yutong just wiggles her phone, showing him the screen. He is already late. He is 30 minutes late, and his boss already messaged him to hurry up. His older sister manages to get him half a day off so he can rest until noon. Talk about a massive relief.
She asks how he is holding up and if his body still hurts or feels uncomfortable.
He says he is much better, but then she drops a bomb. Time to settle the score. Xia Yutong's voice suddenly turns ice cold as she pinches his cheeks and pulls them hard to both sides. She scolds him for running off alone, drinking until he blacked out and staying out so late. Does he even know how to drink, especially when his stomach is already in such terrible shape? What if something happened? When he begs her to stop because it hurts, she asks if he finally feels pain. She demands to know if he is sorry, and he quickly promises never to do it again. She warns him that if he misbehaves again, she will spank him just like she did when they were kids. Our boy can only smile helplessly, seeing that Xia Yutong is still the exact same caring sister. For a long time, her meticulous care has never wavered. She has always treated him with this deep tenderness, but if not for that one past incident, he might never have doubted the actual reason behind her overwhelming love for the rest of his life. And he certainly would not be constantly trying to guess if all her kindness since then was driven by guilt. Just then, a soft breeze rustles the curtains. It flips through an open book on the desk, right where a hidden sheet rests between the lower pages. A single piece of paper drifts down to her feet, and she crouches down to pick it up. On the clean white sheet is a simple sketch drawn with incredibly sharp and clean lines. The artist is clearly highly talented, capturing a young boy curled up completely. Sleeping peacefully, she reaches out to trace the lines. It feels as if, through the paper itself, she is caressing his handsome, gentle face.
It is like holding a precious treasure she has wanted for ages, just like watching him sleep peacefully by her side last night.
A sweet yet strangely dark smile spreads across her face as she slides open the desk drawer.
She pulls out a loose leaf binder and carefully slides the paper back inside.
The pages are covered with drawings of the boy sleeping, showing his journey from a cute toddler to a young teenager. By the time our boy makes it back to his college dorm, his roommates are already awake.
They are rushing around, brushing teeth and getting dressed since they have an 8 a.m. class with their strict teacher.
None of them would dare skip this class, but they immediately crowd around as he enters. The guys who were completely half asleep just a second ago are suddenly wide awake and grilling him with questions.
Looking at their incredibly curious and excited faces, he decides he has absolutely no reason to hide anything.
He says it straight up, without hesitation, telling them that he and Youli have officially broken up. He explains that his sister took him to her place after he drank too much, but they are shocked about the breakup.
His roommates immediately start babbling, desperate to dig up all the juicy details.
But after taking one look at his face and seeing he has no interest in explaining, they tactfully shut their mouths. Honestly, to him, it is really not a big deal.
He says they just got tired of each other and tells them to hurry up for class, which they quickly agree with. Sure, class is important, but they have been together for over 10 whole years. Who would actually believe they just got tired of each other? Honestly, this is low-key heartbreaking to witness. If there is any regret, it is only for all the years of effort and companionship he wasted on her.
If Youli had not shown some sign of returning his feelings back then, he would have been branded as a pathetic simp ages ago. The next morning on campus. As he is walking along with his roommates, he suddenly catches the sound of a very familiar voice nearby. He instinctively turns his head, and his eyes land right on Youli, who is standing right there in the middle of a group of girls.
She glares at him with an icy expression, and he can easily feel a wave of intense, burning anger radiating from her.
Luoluo helplessly turns his head because he obviously does not want this. Both of their families to completely break ties since they eventually have to try and make peace down the line. But not right now. If Wen Youli wants to be angry, let her stew. Besides, there are still several months left before the school break anyway. So he won't have to face their parents for a while, assuming she keeps quiet. Once he arrives at the computer lab, the homeroom teacher starts their specialized morning class. Everyone actually pays quite close attention until they switch to a different room for a super boring politics lecture. That is when the other guys finally start whispering, turning all their focus straight to Luoluo. They whisper back and forth, trying to plan some wild activities for the evening.
They just want to help him relax and bounce back from this fresh breakup drama.
They debate between hitting a bar or doing karaoke, offering to invite some cute girls. Sure, those girls might not match Wen Youli, but they're still absolute certified 10s. But since Luoluo can't drink much, someone suggests grabbing some barbecue instead. One friend knows a killer skewered meat spot, followed by a relaxing foot massage at a spa. He has a member card there, but Luoluo shut it down. Luoluo quickly interrupts their planning, saying he has some private errands tonight since the weekend starts tomorrow. Honestly, he was the one who initiated the breakup because he was just too exhausted, so he feels no regrets. Mostly, it is a massive headache. Dealing with this mess is exhausting.
Using his textbooks as a handy cover, he sneakily turns on his phone screen. He secretly sends a text to Xia Yutong, asking if she is free tonight.
Maybe they could go for a walk. She replies instantly with a warm yes.
She playfully asks if he has a favor to ask her, and after a moment, he texts back yes. Really, it is nothing major. He just wanted to meet up with her. Just to chat.
She happily agrees and promises to wait for him at the campus gate.
7:30 sharp, no lateness. He promises to be on time.
By 5 in the afternoon, massive queues are already starting to form at the university cafeteria windows. It is packed completely wall to wall, and Luoluo stands behind the glass counter wearing a mask. He is working like an absolute pro to feed the endless stream of hungry customers during his daily shift. Mealtimes are easily the busiest and most chaotic hours for any cafeteria worker. He stands there serving food until his legs ache and his hands start shaking from exhaustion. Only then does the massive rush of students finally start to thin out and slow down. With almost no customers left in sight, Luoluo glances quickly at the clock. 20 minutes left of his shift. He still has to keep standing. Suddenly, a very familiar figure walks through the door, and oh boy, get ready for this. It is Wen Youli and her best friend, laughing and chatting as they walk into the hall. But Wen Youli does not look happy at all, even though she is wearing a face mask. Even so, he knows that the exact second their eyes meet, she will recognize him. Sure enough, her best friend looks between the two of them and gives a knowing smirk. She wanders off to a different food counter, leaving Wen Youli to step right up to his window. Her pretty eyebrows knit together as she glares at him with resentment. Staring him down with a frosty face, she is clearly waiting for him to apologize like usual. In the past, every single fight ended exactly like this, with Luoluo being the one to lower his head. A few tense seconds pass. Then he says something that ruins any hope of peace. He looks right at her and coldly asks what she wants to order today. This is wild. Wen Youli glares at him, asking if he is seriously not apologizing. Since we already broke up, what are you ordering? Yuro drops the line with zero emotion, leaving his ex staring in utter disbelief. She expected him to start begging and chasing her like usual, so she is completely losing her mind right now. Fine, Yuro, she snaps. You said it yourself, so we are officially done. She gives him one last angry glare before storming off to the next food counter. With the dinner rush finally dying down, Wen Youli and her bestie grab a table to eat. As they eat their late dinner, they try to chat and laugh like nothing is wrong. But she keeps glancing over at Yuro, who is totally done playing her games. Instead, he is just looking forward to clocking out and grabbing a quick shower back at his dorm. He thinks about what to wear for his walk with his beautiful older sister, remembering how he used to text Wen Youli goodnight. Back then, Wen Youli would completely ignore him, or just reply with a dry, one-word text. It was always a dry, okay, but one night, right after he sent a late message and tried to sleep, he put his phone down, only for the screen to suddenly light up in the dark. To his surprise, he got a flood of sweet texts from Xia Yutong, asking why he was suddenly saying goodnight to her. She gently teased him about fighting with his girlfriend and told him to get some sleep. She said staying up late is bad for him and promised he could talk to her tomorrow about anything. She even reminded him to bundle up for the cold weather and to let her know if he ever ran low on cash. Calling him her favorite little dummy, she said goodnight. And that was the exact moment he realized his texts had probably been going to the wrong girl all along. Now, fast forward to 6:30 p.m. He clocks out, rushes back to the dorm for a quick shower and a change of clothes, and heads right out. He makes it to the school gate, and there she is. Xia Yutong is already waiting for him. She is wearing a stunning white lace dress that perfectly highlights her tall, elegant figure. With her long hair blowing in the wind and barely any makeup on, she looks absolutely gorgeous. She asks if the dress looks good, and he tells her she looks beautiful in literally anything, making her smile. She laughs and asks if he has had dinner yet, suggesting they go grab a bite. She offers to treat him, and he happily thanks her. He walks right beside Xia Yutong as they leave the campus behind. Seriously, what a massive upgrade from his toxic ex. Outside, the bustling commercial street is completely alive as night starts to fall. The city of Luan is glowing with bright neon lights, kicking off its most vibrant hours. With the streets beautifully lit up, she warmly asks him what he is craving tonight. Walking half a step behind her, his eyes wander through the crowd before locking onto her hand. Specifically, he notices a silver bracelet on her wrist, softly catching the streetlights. Noticing his gaze, she turns around with a smile and asks what he is staring at. She playfully asks if there is something wrong with her hand, or if he's just asking for allowance. She teasingly stretches her slender arm out, giving him a much clearer view of the bracelet's unique pattern. He takes a closer look and asks why she is still wearing that old thing. He points out that it looks pretty outdated and cheap, not matching her gorgeous style at all. But she just smiles and says she absolutely loves it because it is so beautiful to her.
See, back on her 13th birthday, Yuro had scraped together all of his saved allowance.
He really wanted to buy her a special gift but had absolutely no idea what to get.
That was until he saw the traditional silver jewelry in his mother's old wedding dowry.
But looking at it now, he realizes that kind of jewelry really does not suit her. For a young, stunning girl like Xia Yutong, it just looks way too mature and old-fashioned. It is like a little girl secretly trying on her mother's oversized high heels. She laughs, calling him a dummy, and asks if he seriously thinks it looks bad on her. Under the bright, soft moonlight, Xia Yutong raises her hand to show it off once again. She traces the outline of her bracelet, looking at him as if seeing his childhood self.
Yutong sighs, remembering how cute Luoluo used to be. So sweet and obedient.
Always following her around, calling her sister, but Luoluo says he still listens to her.
He mumbles a quiet agreement, but she quickly cuts him off, telling him to stop.
"Let us drop," she says. "What are we having for dinner anyway?"
He points to a street food stall to buy some egg pancakes for dinner.
No need to deal with the crowded downtown anymore, so they take another path.
He walks with Yutong to the quiet riverbank, feeling the cool summer breeze on his face.
It feels incredibly peaceful as Yutong walks slowly along the river railing. Her fingers gently tap the cold metal, moving with an effortless grace. Humming her favorite tune, she secretly knows Luoluo has so many questions to ask. She has things to say too, but she waits for him to finish eating.
Once he finishes, it will be time to lay everything bare. Suddenly, he says he is full. He offers her the rest, saying it is delicious, and she casually takes the pancake from him.
As she finishes his food, we realize they have leaned on each other for 10 years.
This deep trust and care made them low-key too close for comfort. They got totally used to indirect kissing like this, but then something changed.
Youli had previously seen him drinking his sister's leftover tea and stopped him.
Her strict warning made the boy realize there are boundaries between men and women.
Since then, that cozy, boundary-free dynamic between them slowly started to fade.
See, she never wanted to teach him about boundaries in the first place.
As long as he stayed innocent, she could take advantage of his ignorance.
She wanted those physical touches, secretly fantasizing that he belonged entirely to her.
Wishing he could just listen to her forever, she throws the plastic bag away. It drops into the dark trash can as dim streetlights illuminate the path ahead.
Nobody is around after a long, heavy silence under the dark night sky. Yutong finally breaks the silence, telling Luoluo to say whatever is on his mind. She is listening, so he decides to finally bring it up. He gathers his thoughts, asking her about his recent breakup with Youli. He still doubts if it was right, since everyone wanted them to stay together. When she asks who everyone is, he mentions their family friends. Even their late parents wanted it. Then he asks, did that include her too? Yutong turns around, unscrews a water bottle, and hands it over to him. He takes it blankly, muttering that it was their father's dying wish to make everyone happy. He thinks that is the right choice. Yutong stands quietly under the street lamp. The warm light washes over her, making her white dress and pale skin look almost transparent. She tells him that a person has to grow up 3 times in life. First, learning right from wrong. Second, realizing that some things have no clear right or wrong. For the third, she steps closer. Her tall stature makes her look down at him. She slightly tips her toes, leaning close to his forehead while staring into his dark eyes. Her beautiful peach blossom eyes curve upward as she gently runs a hand through his hair. She whispers the third stage. Once you realize some things have no right or wrong, you still choose to believe in your path and take full responsibility for it. She reminds him that what their father wanted most of all was for Luoluo to just be genuinely happy. Luoluo tries to argue that they have known each other for 20 years. But Yutong simply asks if he actually loves her. He tries to reply, but her slender finger gently presses against his lips, shushing him completely. She whispers that if he doesn't love Youli, she will pursue him. His entire world is just her stunning face. The tension is crazy as everything goes dead silent. Standing at 176, she easily towers over him, ready to kiss his forehead. She repeats the question. Luoluo just stares at the floor in silence. He opens his mouth, but her finger silences him again, shushing his protests.
She promises to make him hers, and his pupils dilate in absolute shock. His eyes are glued to her beauty. The world goes quiet. She admits Youli is the girl his parents chose to be his wife. Normally, she wouldn't interfere. But if he doesn't love Youli, she wants to fight for him. Honestly, he always knew the truth, but kept running away. It was all a lie. Yutong saw right through him from day one. She spoiled him. But she is also a girl who has loved him for over 20 years. Now, she is backing him into a corner while he is panicking. You can't reject me. She knows he's terrified of hurting her and losing her forever. He asks why she has to push him if she knows everything. Is wanting him so wrong? Her mature, soothing voice is low-key intoxicating, pulling him right in. She asks if he still loves Youli. If he says yes, she will act like this never happened. Nothing will change. The night wind suddenly feels freezing cold, making his mind go blank. Finally, he admits he doesn't love Youli as a woman. He is absolutely certain. He doesn't love her. Trying to force a romance with Youli was just too exhausting. Their relationship never would have lasted anyway. He was always the only one making all the compromises. Yutong did the same for him. But he only ever saw Yutong as his sister. She asks why he can date Youli just to please others. But he won't try for her. He never thought about it because he was always running away. He never saw her as a woman. Cold raindrops start falling on his forehead, snapping him back to reality. Out of nowhere, a heavy summer rain starts pouring down from the quiet night sky. Before our boy can even react, Xia Yutong grabs his hand. They dash back immediately, since the school is actually pretty close. But the rain picks up fast, and they are both pretty soaked by the gate. The teachers' dorms are right there, but the boys' dorm is still miles away. He tells her to head back first while he runs back to his dorm alone. He is totally prepared to get absolutely drenched anyway. He just wants to take a hot shower and sleep it off. He is ready to let tomorrow deal with it, but Xia Yutong grabs his shirt. She stares at him with those gorgeous eyes, rain dripping from her long, dark hair. Wet strands of hair cling to her face as her clear eyes look up at him. She softly begs him not to leave and to come back to talk with her. Hearing her plead like that, there is no way he can say no. He nods and runs with her straight toward the teacher's dorm building. Once they are inside, Xia Yutong hands him a dry towel. She pulls out some oversized clothes and tells him to go take a hot shower. She tells him to wear her clothes first, insisting her own health is perfectly fine.
He protests, telling her to shower first so she does not catch a cold.
She agrees to be quick and tells him to start drying off now.
Xia Yutong grabs another change of clothes for herself.
As she heads into the bathroom, he looks over the clothes she left for him.
He shifts them slightly and immediately spots something tucked inside the shirt. It is a pair of plain black women's underwear sitting right there. No crazy patterns or fancy lace, just a totally simple design. It is probably the only pair in her closet that a guy could actually wear. Suddenly, the sound of rushing water echoes from the bathroom.
And just like that, our boy's mind starts racing with pure, innocent fantasies.
Xia Yutong is absolutely gorgeous, and back before she left for college, their close relationship meant they always had a lot of physical contact. Having felt that closeness, she used to show up in his teenage dreams constantly.
She basically dominated his imagination over and over back then.
He snaps out of it and instantly pulls his hand away from her clothes. Realizing these were definitely worn by her before makes his face turn completely red. He quickly tries to banish all those wild thoughts from his head. He forces himself to breathe and stop overthinking things. Honestly, he has never gone past kissing with any girl before. Even during his 2 years with Wen Youli, they barely did anything. A few simple kisses were as far as it went because he is pretty old-fashioned. Plus, that past trauma still holds him back. But then, the bathroom door opens.
Xia Yutong walks out wearing a simple t-shirt and short shorts. She's drying her hair with a towel, showing off her long, pale legs.
She has an absolutely incredible figure, and honestly, the animation is cooking here. She asks what is wrong and tells him to hurry up and get in the shower.
He stammers and points at the pair of underwear, trying not to look. With a slight blush, she shyly admits she does not have any men's clothes here.
Yutong says she cannot let him wear wet clothes, but he quickly shuts that idea down.
He says he is fine just wearing pants, awkwardly scrambling into the bathroom.
Looking like a total coward running from battle, our boy Luoluo flees while Yutong watches with a playful smirk.
Her gaze practically pierces right through the door. She already decides that he belongs to her.
Never letting anyone else have him, her hand gently presses against the door.
He is right there, and she is literally ready to claim this boy for herself. Talk about final boss energy.
She thinks her little brother is just too cute, while a heavy storm absolutely rages outside.
The vicious downpour outside feels like it is about to drown the entire world. The sharp tapping sounds echo in the dark as the temperature outside completely plummets.
Both of them bundle up in bed early, keeping to opposite sides.
She asks if he is cold and if they should share another blanket.
He replies that he is warm enough, and the room falls completely silent once again.
But then the glowing phone screen lights up Luoluo's face with a text from Youli asking where he is. Before he can even ask what she wants, she texts that she is at building number 2. She demands that he bring an umbrella and walk her back to the dorm, completely ordering him around. It is the exact same demanding tone. Youli still acts like she owns him, even after the breakup.
Honestly, our boy is way too nice. As childhood friends, he still feels obligated to help.
Just as he tries to get up, Yutong suddenly pins him down, having silently slipped right next to him. Lying on her side, she blinks those gorgeous eyes and asks where he thinks he is going. When he explains that Youli is stranded without an umbrella, Yutong snatches his phone to take a look. She quickly types out a reply and hands it back, telling Youli there are public umbrellas at exit 2. 2 seconds later, Youli fires back another text asking if Luoluo is seriously not coming for her. Wrapping her arms around his neck, Yutong whispers for him to stay. She pulls his face right into her soft embrace, whispering his name in the sweetest voice. She tells him this is not a big sister's command, but a request from someone chasing his heart. He is free to refuse, but she really hopes he chooses to stay with her tonight. Honestly, this is an absolute trap. Her sweet scent is like a rose blooming in the dark. Her warm hug feels like a beautiful escape from the bitter winter storm outside. But just as he is starting to lose himself, a voice call suddenly starts ringing on his phone. As the ringtone echoes in the quiet room, he feels Yutong hold on to him even tighter. His thumb hovers over the screen, completely torn between answering the call or hanging up. When he answers, Youli snaps, asking what his deal is and mentioning the public umbrellas. She says she can make it back alone, but she is asking him one final time. Is he seriously not coming to get her? She sounds absolutely furious at this point. Man, she is so mad it feels like she might smash her phone any second. Talk about toxic ex energy. Yutong finally lets go of him, quietly waiting to see how he is going to reply. He tells Youli he is busy and cannot make it, urging her to get back to the dorm early. He reminds her it is late, prompting her to furiously slam the phone down on him. With no more texts coming through, the bedroom plunges back into a heavy silence. Only the sound of the rain fills the air as Yutong lets out a soft, satisfied smile. She gently caresses his cheek and asks if this means she finally has a chance to chase him. Luoluo confesses he is still unsure, apologizing because he does not want to take her feelings lightly.
She chuckles, saying she never expected an immediate yes and will work hard to make him love her.
She tells him to answer whenever he is ready because she is willing to wait forever. She gently brushes his eyelids, slowly pulling him deeper into her incredibly sweet, inescapable trap. Bro, the prey really has nowhere to run. She tells him if he can never love her like that, then he should just treat all of her love as simple sibling affection. She tells him to go find a girl he actually loves and who loves him back. She promises to back out quietly, but when it is almost time for his wedding, she will even help pay the dowry. Luoluo stammers, saying he did not mean that at all. He is completely flustered, tripping over his words until she softly cuts him off. Telling him not to worry since she will not force him, Xia Yutong playfully teases him. Her collarbone looks incredibly beautiful, making our boy look down in pure embarrassment. Her words echo in his mind. If their future actually turns out like that, her sacrifice would simply be too heavy. Suddenly, a blinding flash of white light cuts through. It illuminates the darkness for a split second, immediately followed by deafening thunder. The loud crash rings in his ears, instantly breaking his train of thought.
He shifts his body slightly, but the room remains quiet and peaceful. She asks if he is still afraid of thunder, but he protests that he is grown up now.
If he got scared, she would definitely laugh at him.
But she promises she never would.
Xia Yutong glances outside, watching the heavy rain and howling wind rage through the pitch-black night.
She chuckles, teasingly wondering if he would act just like he did when they were kids, shivering from the noise and subconsciously crawling right into her warm embrace. He groans that he was a literal toddler back then, but she reminds him he was 6. Back then, he absolutely loved crawling onto her bed to sleep right beside her. Especially on rainy days like this, he would cling to her, shivering with fear.
Just like a startled little rabbit, blushing, he begs her to stop bringing up embarrassing memories.
She brings up that one stormy night when Luoluo clung to her and refused to let go. He made it impossible for her to even use the bathroom. Honestly, she is not letting him off easily. She continues down memory lane with a teasing smile, saying there was absolutely no choice.
He actually followed her all the way to the bathroom. Mortified, he tells her they should sleep.
All right, fine. Let us sleep. She whispers goodnight to her adorable little idiot.
Now we flash back. Dark clouds pile up, blocking out the light until everything turns gloomy.
A massive storm is brewing. First grade classes are dismissed early for the day.
Parents pick up almost all the kids, leaving only a few left behind.
Among them, 2 tiny kids sit close together. Suddenly, the little girl yells out for her dad.
She spots a very familiar car pulling up to the curb, and a man steps out. She runs over excitedly. Wen Jun scoops up little Lily, apologizing for being so late. She nuzzles his cheek affectionately, begging for ice cream, and her dad happily agrees.
He promises to get her some, but says they must head home for dinner first.
Otherwise, Mom is going to be furious. As the man speaks, he turns his gaze to the quiet little boy, still waiting alone, and raises his voice. Asking Luoluo if he wants a ride home, the boy slowly lifts his hanging head. He shakes his head politely, refusing the offer because he wants to wait for his older sister. Wen Jun hesitates for a second, before nodding, warning them to be careful on their way home. Since it is about to pour, Lily waves goodbye to our boy as they leave. She climbs into the car. See, 6th graders get dismissed much later than the 1st graders.
Luoluo sits on the steps, staring blankly down at a busy trail of ants.
After what feels like forever, the school bell finally rings, unleashing a wave of noisy kids. A massive crowd floods out of the doors. He looks up eagerly to find her. Surrounded by 6th graders who are literally several heads taller, little Luoluo looks around with innocent, pure eyes.
He carefully scans the massive crowd, desperately searching for that one familiar face, but she is nowhere to be found.
Panic starts setting in, so the poor kid just plunges straight into the sea of people. He is basically like a lost little puppy wandering into a completely different pack, turning left and right.
Still, absolutely no sign of her, and now the school gates are practically empty. As everything goes quiet, his panic spikes, and that crushing feeling of helplessness completely swallows him up. Did you wait long, Luoluo? A voice calls out, and he suddenly whips his head around. It is Xia Yutong, standing there drenched in sweat after running all the way just to find him. He finally breathes a sigh of relief as she apologizes for being so late. She explains she had cleaning duty alone today, but literally ran over the second she finished. When he mutters that he waited forever, she promises to make him some delicious food to make up for it. Time to go because it is getting super late. Luckily, their house isn't too far from the school. But walking still takes them nearly an hour, especially since both Yutong and Luoluo are still just elementary schoolers. They walk pretty slowly, unlike kids like Wen Youli. Back then, almost no parents picked up their kids. Yutong's parents were always buried in work. Even before her father passed away the previous year, they rarely had time to actually be there for them. The sky looks super gloomy, but luckily it doesn't rain on their way back. Xia Yutong completely forgot her umbrella, and those thick, dark clouds overhead are looking pretty menacing. Honestly, the suspense here is real, and just as they hit the final stretch of their walk, a few raindrops start falling, and in literally seconds, it absolutely pours. It turns into a total torrential downpour, and by the time they finally scramble back home, they are both completely soaked. Xia Yutong quickly dries off, changes her clothes, and gets the hot water ready. She starts bathing her little brother. 12 is the perfect age to learn basic boundaries. It is all about understanding gender differences, though his sense of modesty kicked in way earlier. He asks to wash himself, and she immediately teases him, asking if he is actually shy around his sister. But the kid protests, arguing he is already 6 and cannot keep relying on her. His teacher said to do things himself, so she lovingly tells little Luoluo to wait until he is a bit older.
I'll let you try again next year, Xia Yutong said as she applied body wash to the boy's body. His eyes scan the scene, and his hands just freeze mid-action. Little Luoluo sits on a tiny stool, completely thrown off by her sudden awkward pause. He looks so lost as Xia Yutong kneels down, gently explaining that boys and girls are actually built different. Of course he already knows our boy is not stupid. So basically he learns you can't just stare at a girl's body, and stripping butt naked for them is also a massive no-go.
He asks, wait, not even big sister? Except for her, of course. Xia Yutong stares down at his sweet, innocent face.
He looks completely clueless. Honestly, she is the only person he can truly let his guard down around. Why? Because he is the closest person to her.
She tells him to listen well, especially since their parents are always traveling for work.
Growing up, little Lulu is terrified of the freezing dark, and on nights like this, he just desperately craves warmth. Tonight, the storm is brutal. Lightning flashes, triggering the poor kid's worst fears. He asks when the rain will stop, and she says it might take all night. But she tells Lulu not to worry because she is right by his side.
She promises to protect him, just as another massive clap of thunder shakes the house.
The boy hugs her even tighter, burying his little face into Xia Yutong's chest. His body is shaking uncontrollably, but she tells him not to be afraid. She gently rubs his head to comfort him while the rain keeps pouring outside. Rain streaks down the window in distorted lines as Xia Yutong holds him tight, protecting him from the world.
She sighs and leans down, softly whispering sweet comfort right into Luoluo's ear.
At this point, she needs to use the restroom, but he just clings to her, still shaking like a leaf. He begs her not to leave him, promising to be the best boy ever. Seriously, this is so painful to watch.
She gently reassures him that she is not leaving and will be right back.
The sister asks him to let go for just a second, but he refuses out of pure terror. Yielding to his fear, she decides to hold his hand and take him along with her. Asking if this is okay, she finally feels him start to loosen his grip.
Xia Yutong continues to soothe him, promising she will stay by his side no matter what.
When she asks if she has ever lied to him, he whispers no and promises to listen. Because she is holding his terrified hand, she has to slow her pace down to a crawl.
It takes them a surprisingly long time just to walk the short distance to the bathroom.
With the lights off, she can barely guide him through the pitch-black bathroom.
Xia Yutong gently pats his shoulder, since he still does not dare to open his eyes.
She tells Luo to turn around, and he obediently does exactly that. But the moment she lets go of his hand, panic hits, and he cries out for her to save him. Reassuring him that she is right behind him, she lets a couple of seconds pass. Xia Yutong holds his hand again, talking about random things to distract him from his terror. He slowly calms down, even when she eventually lets go of his hand again. This time, he is not afraid anymore, knowing she is right there. She promises she will always be by his side, and she truly kept that promise. Back to the present, Gu Sheng asks Yutong for help, reminding her of a promise once Luoluo graduates, promising to pay Yutong double salary if she joins her company after graduation. Gu Sheng even suggests bringing Luoluo along, but Yutong wants him to pursue a master's or a doctorate instead. Yutong wants him to focus on studying, since she can easily support him anyway. Her friend teases her, saying she acts more like his second mother than just an older sister, and honestly, she is not wrong. Their muffled voices filter through the bedroom door as Luoluo slowly opens his eyes. He rubs his sleepy eyes and finally rolls out of bed. The storm has passed, leaving the entire city of Luan looking fresh and damp under the morning sun. Water drips from the eaves, and the big old tree in the courtyard looks incredibly lush and green. Hearing the bedroom door open, Xia Yutong turns around with a smile and asks if he is finally awake. She mentions his breakfast has gone cold and offers to warm it up for him. He just yawns in response while she tells him to go brush his teeth and wash his face. Looking over at the gorgeous woman sitting next to his sister, he realizes Sister Gu was also here. She wishes him a sweet morning, noticing right away how much taller he has grown.
The elegant woman waves him over, wanting to get a closer look at him.
Her beautiful face lights up with a warm, playful smile as she sizes him up. This stunning woman is Gu Sheng, Xia Yutong's former graduate advisor.
She is also Yutong's absolute best friend, and the two are incredibly close.
Having met Luoluo a few times before, she actually left her teaching job 1 year ago. Her goal was to run her family company, but Yutong ended up turning down her job offer. Despite the rejection, she remains close, teasingly noting that Luoluo is getting way too handsome.
She asks if he is turning heads at school, but he just blushes and says she must be joking.
Luoluo subconsciously steals a glance at Xia Yutong, only to find her looking right back with a teasing smile. It seems she is waiting for his answer, but Luoluo just shrugs and says nobody really likes him anyway.
To escape the heat, he mutters that he needs to wash up and runs into the bathroom like he is fleeing a crime scene.
Watching him run off, Gu Sheng sighs with a knowing look, saying Luoluo is such a sweet guy. Now that he is single, girls will probably line up for him. She wonders who the lucky lady will be. Meanwhile, Xia Yutong picks up the breakfast plates and pops them into the microwave.
She gently chimed in, saying he is way too clumsy and needs someone mature and smart to look after him.
Gu Sheng immediately teases, "What about me? Lolo is so adorable and well-behaved, I would love to spoil him."
But Xia Yutong just smiles. No need to trouble yourself, Sister Gu. I can take care of Lolo myself.
At this point, Xia Yutong laughs it off, repeating that he definitely needs someone mature. Gu Sheng pouts, saying he does not need to choose someone that mature, unless she is calling her old. I mean, she is only in her early 30s, basically still in her prime. But Xia Yutong points out that Luoluo is barely in his early 20s and still has a lot to learn. By the time Luoluo finally steps out of the bathroom, the reheated breakfast is already waiting for him. He sits down at the table, flanked by Xia Yutong on one side and Gu Sheng on the other. The two ladies immediately start teasing him back and forth. Gu Sheng is super outgoing and loves to stir the pot.
She keeps throwing these wild personal questions that leave our poor boy completely speechless. Honestly, if Xia Yutong had not stepped in to bail him out, he never would have survived this insanely awkward breakfast.
Finally escaping that trap of a dining room, Luoluo heads straight back to his college dorm. The moment he walks in, his 3 roommates are huddled around a table covered in random party supplies. They are so hyped up and busy gossiping that they do not even notice him enter the room. So he walks over to inspect the mess and finds a bunch of candles and fresh flowers. There's even a crisp, brand new suit hanging nearby. One of them finally spots him and yells, "Hey, Luoluo!" The guys look up, explaining that they are setting up a grand confession scene for their buddy, Old Zhang. He is planning to ask a girl out tonight, and yep, you guessed it, it is Chen Yuan again. His roommates laugh. Of course it is. The guy is the ultimate simp, completely whipped for this girl. Literally the entire class knows Zhang Chenfeng is obsessed with her, but after a year, he has not even held her hand. Since Luo just went through a breakup, and if Old Zhang flops tonight too, it is going to be brutal. The boys suggest hitting up a street food stall tonight to drown both of their sorrows in skewers. One roommate winks, teasing that Luoluo probably will not join since he is already living it up with Professor Xia. Luoluo rolls his eyes and tells them to shut up and stop spreading wild rumors. Honestly, he has zero energy to deal with these clowns right now, so he just retreats to his desk. It is time to tackle the advanced math homework he has been putting off. Since Professor Zhao keeps a close eye on him, he cannot slack. Math is the one subject he absolutely cannot mess up because his guardian has always been strict about his grades. She practically raised him, tutoring him through school and keeping him on the straight and narrow. Thanks to her constant supervision, he has always been a straight-A student near the top of his class. Sure, he got lazy sometimes, but Yutong rarely lost her temper. Her punishments were pretty simple, too. Honestly, she just had one classic move, spanking his butt whenever he messed up. He thought that was over once he went to college. Yeah, he thought he was too old for that kiddie stuff. That is, until he failed his last math exam. Talk about a wake-up call.
Suddenly, Lin Yu calls out to him, saying he needs a massive favor tonight.
Apparently, Old Zhang is planning to make his move when the crew goes for a walk later. He wants to confess to Chen Yun on the running track under the night sky. But to make it work, Luoluo needs to distract the target's best friend, Wen Youli, and drag her away.
Luoluo sighs and shakes his head. He really does not want to deal with this, but he knows he has to face Wen Youli eventually.
He agrees, but only if they cover his dinner tonight before turning back to his mountain of homework. But he has zero focus for studying right now, completely torn.
He types out a message on his phone, but just cannot bring himself to hit send. He deletes it. Gone. Just a missed call from last night, and Wen Youli is probably absolutely furious right now.
Honestly, how is he supposed to say this?
Meanwhile, his roommates already hauled their gear to the sports field. While waiting, they start teasing Jang Chen for dressing up way too formally. Classic teasing. Mocking old Jang is basically a daily routine in their dorm.
Nobody supports him being a total simp.
But when it is time to actually help, they always go all out because old Jang looks after them. Lin Yu notices Luoluo keeping quiet in the corner. "Hey," he calls out, and Luoluo admits he is just stressing over Wen Youli. Going to find her now is just asking for trouble since they already broke up.
But they are childhood friends, so it is not like they are enemies.
Just talk to her. Oh, wait, they are coming. Zhu waves them down, signaling the guys to hide in the shadows. Keep it down. The field is empty tonight. It is pitch black, but they can barely make out the track entrance. Two girls are walking over, and honestly, Wen Youli is gorgeous. She is famous campus-wide, always pulling in every single eye.
Because of that, her best friend Chen Yun gets totally ignored. Luoluo steps down from the bleachers, walking slowly and desperately, racking his brain for an opening.
Before he knows it, he is standing right in front of her. She stops, glaring at him with a cold, annoyed look.
"Can we talk alone?" He scratches his head, feeling pretty awkward. The two girls exchange a quick, silent look.
She reluctantly follows him to the side, leaving Chen Yun pacing back and forth alone. But get this, Wen Yuli's heart is actually racing with excitement. She totally expected this because she knows he could never really leave her. In her mind, she is the prize, so who else could he possibly want? He is her boyfriend, so doing everything for her is just his job. How dare he say he is tired of his basic responsibilities?
What is there to complain about? Is she not treating him well enough?
So many guys would die for a chance with her. He is only here because they grew up together. Honestly, she is doing him a huge favor just by letting him close. She already gave him 2 chances, and she won't let him off easily this time.
Make it quick, she tells him, because she already gave him plenty of chances.
He is the one being ungrateful here, so she glares with pure annoyance.
Were you okay last night? He just asks if she got home safe.
Yeah, I got back fine, she snaps, asking if he is satisfied. She adds that she never needed him anyway, so Luoluo just looks away.
Farther down the track, his 3 friends are already starting their plan. He cannot hear anything from here, but Wen Youli demands to know what he means. He calmly replies that as long as she is doing fine, nothing else matters.
Youli glares at him, her eyes practically shooting fire as she grits her teeth.
Every word out of his mouth sounds incredibly sarcastic to her, especially since she actually cared so much about him. She got soaked in last night's brutal downpour.
Her chest is heaving with anger. With fists clenched in pure betrayal, our main character is standing there looking way too relaxed and completely unbothered.
He doesn't even look sorry.
In fact, Yuno is totally distracted, checking on his roommate's confession in the distance.
He misses her boiling anger entirely.
Her face turns sour, while his buddy Jiang Chen Feng drops to one knee. He is holding a massive bouquet of flowers, confessing his love right in the middle of a heart made of candles. The girl, Chen Yun, hasn't accepted them yet, but she isn't saying no either.
To these naive kids, romance is still pure.
They still blindly believe that staying devoted will automatically guarantee a happy ending. It is honestly kind of sweet, but our guy Yuno has never actually experienced that kind of pure love. He always saw Youli as just a little sister. Then there is Xia Yutong, whose incredibly gentle affection is on a whole different level. He only ever thought of her as his sister.
But then a realization hits. What if Yutong's extreme devotion to him all these years was actually romantic love all along?
That would be the ultimate confession. Subconsciously, the word sister slips out.
He instantly snaps out of his daydream. He chokes back his words as Chen Yun finally accepts the flowers from his buddy.
But wait, plot twist! She immediately throws him to the ground and rejects him with zero hesitation.
Seeing this, Youli instantly connects the dots. She realizes Yuno used her just to help his friend's confession, shattering her hopes. The disappointment adds absolute fuel to her rage. Since his cover is blown anyway, our guy just admits it. He tries to apologize, but she immediately snaps back, asking who gave him permission to call her by her nickname. She mocks him, calling Yunov a wonderfully helpful roommate. Before he can reply, she calls him a massive jerk and lands a crisp, loud slap on his face. Ouch! He is left completely stunned as she storms off. She drags Chen-yun away, leaving a total mess behind, while his friend asks if his cheek hurts.
He groans that even his mom has never hit him that hard.
His friend can't believe he is still complaining, joking if he got hit by some legendary martial arts move. He just glares back grumpily. While covering his cheek, he whines dramatically like a totally mistreated housewife.
Seriously, for a 200-month-old kid, that kind of physical damage is pure emotional trauma.
His friend just sighs, quietly warning him that Teacher Xia is staring right at him. He immediately drops the fake tears as he looks up at Xia Yutong lecturing at the front. Her icy gaze locks right on him. Yuno flashes her a very awkward and nervous smile, but she coldly ignores it. Thankfully, class ends right after that. The second class is dismissed. He packs his things and tries to blend into the noisy crowd.
Hoping to slip through the back door, he is lucky she doesn't stop him.
He successfully slips out of the classroom, breathing a massive sigh of relief, thinking he is finally safe. Just as my phone buzzed with a text, I turned back toward the classroom. I ran right into Xia Yutong coming out, so I quickly tried to explain myself. Sis, I only chatted with him for a second. You won't beat me for that, right? What do you mean she laughs? When did I ever beat you? That was just tough love. Xia Yutong smiles gently, following him with this playful, cute energy. She says she needs to talk, and all he can do is blankly follow her. Walking half a step behind Xia Yutong, he can't help but notice how gorgeous she is. A slender waist and long, elegant legs. Her hair falls like a waterfall, a totally different kind of beautiful than Wen Youli. Once they sit down back in the dorm, Xia Yutong gets straight to the point. She wants him to quit his cafeteria job, but why? He protests that everyone at the cafeteria is nice to him, but she cuts him off. She wants him to have a normal college experience, unlike his past. Through middle school and high school. Ever since their father passed away, Luoluo had to live differently from other kids. Money was tight. He saved every cent. But now, her income is more than enough to support both of them. Can you just listen to me, Luoluo? Public-facing jobs like this do not suit you. Xia Yutong stops smiling, her gaze turning incredibly intense. She speaks slowly, dead serious, and honestly, the vibe is getting a bit creepy here. Who would ever want their precious treasure targeted by anyone else? Talk about major yandere red flags. She wants to cut his ties and keep it all to herself. In the past, Xia Yutong watched him working behind the cafeteria counter countless times. Serving customers, even with a mask on. His handsome, polite charm was still fully on display, and she saw it every single time. She watched pretty young girls try to hit on him, and the jealousy in her eyes was glaring. It was completely obvious, flashing like a neon red light. She viewed those girls as absolute threats, trying to steal him. She refused to let anyone touch him, and this yandere twist is actually insane. He tried saying he was just helping out, so she would not worry. But she iced him out, pulled her chair back, and patted her lap. "Come over here," she demanded. "Talk about an unexpected trope." He never expected she would actually punish him like this, but her face was dead serious. She warned him not to make her repeat herself, forcing him to walk over. He reluctantly lay across her lap, completely terrified. And then, boom, she actually slapped him, though it was surprisingly gentle. It did not really hurt at all. But man, the mental damage was real as she questioned him again. He immediately folded, promising to call Zhao Yi right away. When he tried to stand, she pinned him right back down. Left with no choice, he reached into his pocket for his phone. But his hand accidentally brushed her thigh, and he froze, like he got electrocuted.
Suddenly, she slipped the phone into his hand and leaned close.
Her voice sounded super flustered as she quietly told him to make the call. Our boy completely tunes out, too afraid to ask anything else.
He has no choice but to call his boss. A few words later, his job is officially gone. Luoluo turns around and gives Xia Yutong a goofy smile. He stands up, hoping this is finally enough to keep her happy. She teases that Luoluo was having a late rebellious phase and did not expect him to take it so seriously. He awkwardly scratches his head and tries to leave, but she points out he has no afternoon classes.
Xia Yutong asks why he cannot just spend more time with his big sister, her eyes instantly softening. She immediately softens, flashing her signature warm breeze smile.
He weakly says he is just worried about getting in her way.
She tells him to stay for lunch and a nap, claiming she is technically one of his pursuers.
When she asks for a chance, he immediately surrenders and agrees to stay.
He tells her to stop because it sounds weird, but honestly, an air-conditioned room in peak summer is heaven.
The cold air fills the room because the AC temperature is set way too low.
It gets a bit chilly, and she leans down right next to his ear, asking why he is facing away.
She reminds him how he used to love hugging her to sleep, completely ignoring how close they are. Luo realizes he is definitely not a kid anymore, and this distance is getting way too dangerous. Both his mind and body have matured, and he is no longer that simple, naive little boy. He mutters that he is not a kid anymore, but Xia Yutong just chuckles in response. With an absolutely melting charm, she coos that her little Luoluo has finally grown up. She asks if he does not like his sister anymore, making him quickly protest that he never said that. But he is already 20 years old now, and it is not like she does not know that. He stumbles over his words, trying to explain, while she just laughs and tells him it is fine.
She promises not to force him and tells him to just relax like this. Xia Yutong gently strokes his back, noting how his shoulders are still not very broad. He has a slightly slender build with pale, clean skin.
He has that delicate, boyish charm, which is exactly how she wants him to look. Talk about a walking shit. But get this, she is low-key conflicted, wanting him to grow up strong and healthy.
She tells him not to get too thin. Talk about toxic, selfish love. Yet it still comes from a sisterly care as she wraps her slender arms around him.
Pulling him into her embrace, she whispers how long it has been since they cuddled to sleep. She says he used to be much more comfortable to hold and way more obedient. Out of nowhere, he asks why she likes him, making Xia Yutong stop and think. With a playful laugh, she asks if he wants the truth or a lie.
He chooses the lie first, and she says it is because she raised him.
She molded him exactly how she liked. So what is the truth then? Simple, because he is her little brother and her personal source of entertainment.
That is literally it, no further explanation. But the lie feels way more real to him, leaving him completely speechless. Then her soft, jade-like hand gently presses right against his chest. She wants to feel his heartbeat, teasing him to see if his pulse is racing.
He tells her they are way too close to feel flustered, but she just smirked.
Calling it a pity, Xia Yutong suddenly leans down to steal a deep, intimate kiss. He completely freezes up, totally losing his cool at this point.
His heart starts pounding wild, and she whispers that Luoluo's heart is beating so fast. He blushes hard as the warm shyness creeps right up his neck to his cheeks. Honestly, who wouldn't fold with an insanely gorgeous older sister standing this close? Xia Yutong tilts her head, looking at the cute little fool who belongs to her. She smiles playfully and asks, has he ever kissed anyone other than her? Hearing that sudden question, he can literally feel his heart pounding like absolute crazy inside his chest. Even a tiny drop of dirt is enough to trigger her twisted mind. Her twisted and paranoid possessiveness is ready to explode, but she keeps desperately telling herself to stay calm. He belongs to her now, and he always will, no matter what. She has plenty of time to wash him clean, so her precious Luoluo never gets dirty. To satisfy her, he blushes red and quickly answers that he has never kissed anyone. He admits he and Youli only held hands, making her smile and pat his head like a good boy.
She tells him to stay still and let sister hold him, so he immediately goes quiet.
He lies on his side facing her while a cold autumn breeze blows outside.
The entire room falls dead silent, and he melts right into her warm and cozy embrace.
He slowly closes his eyes and gently drifts off to sleep. After some time, she whispers his name, but he is still lost deep in his dreamland.
He is fast asleep, not even feeling her quietly slip his phone right out of his pocket. She easily unlocks the phone, and when he finally wakes up, the sun is already setting. A gentle evening breeze blows through the window as a beautiful sunset paints the entire sky. He rubs his sleepy eyes and slowly sits up on the bed. Faint sounds of sizzling food drift into the room, and a delicious aroma of cooking fills the air. He steps out of his bedroom to find several piping hot, delicious dishes already served on the table.
Xia Yutong stands there wearing an apron, looking like the absolute definition of a loving sister.
She tells him to go wash his hands because she cooked his favorite shredded radish beef for dinner. He nods obediently and walks into the bathroom, running his hands under the cool, refreshing water. Out of nowhere, Xia Yutong quietly slips in right behind him, suddenly grabbing both of his hands in a tight grip. Startled, he asks if she needs to wash her hands, too.
Let sister teach you how to wash properly, she whispers to him.
Squirting some soap, she grabs one of his hands and starts scrubbing it with intense, aggressive force. She scrubs so hard it almost tears his skin off, acting as if his hands are covered in some kind of disgusting, filthy dirt. He begs her to stop because it hurts, but Xia Yutong completely ignores his protests. She rinses off the soap and grabs his other hand, scrubbing it with that same terrifying force. His hands are burning red and painful, but he is too scared to struggle anymore. He steals a glance at her, totally missing the dark, chilling look hidden behind her hair. Deep in her pupils is a twisted, bloody look of absolute disgust and hatred that is honestly terrifying to witness. Now that they are finally clean, she calmly tells him to go eat his dinner. She finally lets go, and when he nervously asks if she is okay, she just laughs it off. He quickly runs out of the bathroom, leaving her standing there alone as she slowly looks up. Staring into the mirror, her face is written with pure madness as she lets out a creepy, twisted grin. She mutters that her sweet Luoluo needs to be obedient and behave. Meanwhile, the sun completely sets as the city streetlights begin to flicker on. Over at Luoluo University, groups of students are finally starting to head out to grab some dinner. Youli is sitting all by herself on a bench, wearing a pretty white strap dress. She looks up and watches as yet another happy couple walks right past her holding hands.
Seeing their sweet romance makes her so annoyed, remembering how Luoluo used to bring her here for walks too.
Because Yuli's part-time cafeteria shift always runs late, he usually leaves after dark. It is definitely not as bright and cozy as a gorgeous campus sunset. Meanwhile, without Youli bringing her breakfast, our toxic female lead Wen Youli is finally struggling. To make it to her 8 a.m. class, she is forced to settle for cheap bread. But the campus store's bread is so dry, it literally feels like chewing wood. It tastes completely awful, and now she even has to stand in line for milk tea. With no one to complain to anymore, she instinctively opens up her friend list. She stares at Yulei's familiar profile, remembers they broke up, and quickly closes it. My lady, the weather is getting chilly. Let your humble servant add a coat. Her best friend Chen Yun suddenly sits down beside her and teases her. Get lost, Wen Youli snaps. Are you here just to annoy me more? She rolls her eyes in frustration, but Chen Yun tells her to stop sulking. Talk to me, since you can't run back to Youli to complain anymore. Angrily, Wen Youli glares at her, but she deflates within 2 seconds. Honestly, anyone with eyes can see she is miserable, and her bestie is right. Seriously, why not date Jiang Chengfeng? You need a reason to like someone? He is handsome, loyal, and a major upgrade. This guy is smart, gentle, and so caring, Chen Yun points out with zero filter. But he's the one who wanted this breakup, Wen Youli mutters defensively. Her quiet voice actually makes it sound like she is the victim here. My dear princess, take a look at how badly you exploited the poor guy. How he tolerated you for so long is a miracle, yet you claim you were nice? Chen Yun sighs, completely dumbfounded by how stubborn this girl still is. 10 years together, and you barely even let him hold your hand.
You literally slapped him for trying to talk. How is that treating him well?
But he was always fine with it. Does that make it his job? That completely shuts her up. Wen Youli has zero defense.
Standing up, her best friend gently pats her head like comforting a child.
I am heading back to the dorm. Figure things out yourself. Just don't jump into the river. Bloated bodies are extremely ugly.
She walks away, leaving Wen Youli entirely alone on the bench.
Staring at the dorms, she feels a sharp, painful sting in her chest.
But she's got way too much pride to ever swallow it and apologize.
Since childhood, everyone has constantly treated her like a goddess.
And Youli always pampered her, giving her his absolute best.
How could he just break up? She did not even ask why. Walking down to the dorms, she suddenly spots Youli coming out. Their eyes meet instantly, and she has a million questions to ask. He just gives an awkward smile and tries to leave, but she chases him down.
She grabs his arm, glaring at him as she demands what he's doing.
My sister lives in this building, Youli explains with a wry smile, pointing upstairs.
You've been coming here constantly, she replies, her suspicion growing.
Is it not normal to visit my sister? Youli asks defensively.
Do you actually have that much to talk about? An uneasy suspicion hits her,
making her panic because he never used to visit his sister this often.
Yul tells Youli she is asking way too much, but she snaps back that as his girlfriend, she has every right to know. Clinging to his sleeve, she demands to know why he is looking for his sister. He calmly reminds her they already broke up, asking why he cannot visit his sister.
Refusing to believe it, she mutters about Xia Yutong.
She desperately asks if his sister lured him here.
Yul watches her lose control.
Gently brushing her hand off, he simply tells her she is dressed way too lightly.
He tells her to go inside before she catches a cold.
But she wants answers as her worst fears come alive.
Grabbing his hand, she desperately reminds him that Yutong is his sister. Yet she reminds him they are not even blood related. Plus, his parents expect him to marry her.
They only recognize her, demanding to know what Yul is doing. Yul drops a truth bomb, reminding Youli that she was the one who dumped him, leaving her speechless.
She froze completely.
With her frozen in shock, Yul bids her goodbye and tells her to head home early, too.
He slips away, turning to leave.
Her quiet, trembling voice asks if he can at least walk her back to her dorm.
Meanwhile, Xia Yutong watches them from her window.
She sees him smiling so warmly at Youli, realizing his gentle side is still reserved for her.
Faintly catching Youli mentioning the marriage his parents wanted. And she realizes Youli is right. She is the partner chosen and approved by his family. After all, Yutong is just an adopted daughter. How could she dare fight against their wishes, especially when she had already resolved to give up?
She thought watching from afar was enough. If he only kept calling her his sister, she would have lived with absolutely no regrets. But now, the tables have turned.
The treasure she has secretly craved for years is finally within reach, still carrying her mark.
Now, she will do whatever it takes.
Yutong grips the curtains tight, clenching her teeth as her hands shake with pure, intense obsession. Suddenly, a wave of dark, wicked thoughts completely takes over her mind. He is mine. Only mine, she mutters with a terrifying laugh.